Okay, give me just a second. I want you to listen to the 1 minute video. Give me just a second to dig it up. I should be able to find it relatively quick. Anyway, there was a black woman who was shot by the, I think, Kansas City or either Missouri police, Kansas City or St. Louis. I think it was KC police. They recently also killed another black man about 2 weeks ago. But anyway, I'm going to let you listen to this video real quick. In just a second.
They shot her. They shot her. They shot her. They shot her. Oh my God, they shot her. Oh my God, they shot her. Oh my God, they shot her. Mama, they shot her. Oh my God, they shot her. Oh God, they shot her. Oh my God, they shot her. What? I ain't seen nobody like this since my daughter died in front of me. They shot her, y'all. They shot her. They shot her, y'all. They shot her. I watched it all. Y'all, please, they shot her. They shot her, y'all. They shot her, God. Oh, my God, they shot her. They still putting her in handcuffs. What type of woman are you? You still putting her in handcuffs.
Okay, that was the video. Now, from the video that I seen, you can't tell if she was shot while she was running. Needless to say, you're looking at the screenshot. There's two screenshots I could have used. I could have used the screenshot that I got from the video that you heard, which shows a bunch of police cars gathered around. There's a slightly blurry image, and I think that's her on the ground. But I'm going to teach you how to argue, how to debate, and how to go back and forth with white hegemonic people, so-called white supremacists. This is what they'll do. Often you have to look at what they're willing to talk about and what they're not willing to talk about. There's a whole bunch of talk about this right now. Now, I notice on Twitter, which is the main area is being talked about, the main app, it's being talked about, but the people that are talking about it, 100% of what you see is the very screenshot that you're looking at right now. Everybody is retweeting it. They're retweeting it again and again and over. And what it shows is her, the female, Leonna, Hale, whatever her last name is, Hale, with a gun. She was engaged in a car robbery. This is a girl who looked like, so far, from everything that we see, was engaged in a crime. And here's something that you need to know. And this is just a basic fact. If you're reading about any type of police incident, more than likely you're reading about police who are responding to a crime. Even when you read about Peyton Gendron, the guy in Valdez, Texas, or wherever, Alvarez, or wherever that was, where supposedly he shot up a school full of kids, you're reading about police work, the response that police had to a crime. So it's not a point of was there a crime being committed. It's a matter of how the criminal was dealt with. In the case of Dylann Roof, who went into a church in Carolina, Florence, South Carolina, and shot 14 people who were praying to the same God that he believed in, allegedly. He was arrested calmly by South Carolina State Police. He was taken to Burger King and he was given a protective vest. In the case of Peyton Gendron, a man who shot 9 people, most victims women above the age of 60, including an 86-year-old victim, he was taken peacefully and quietly. They don't want to talk about Peyton Gendron and Dylann Roof because these individuals received the thinking that they received from their white parents and from general speaking points of conservative white people, and they acted out on them. And there's more information that's coming out, even though the story is being buried. There's more information coming out on Peyton Gendron that he's connected to even larger organizations, because many of the people that he spoke about in many of the situations where, he speaks positively of, for example, the guy in Switzerland who shot up all the victims, the young people in Switzerland. Peyton Gendron would have been a very little boy if he was even born at the time that happened. Peyton Gendron did not write his manifesto. His manifesto comes from the thinking of conservative white people. And they don't want to talk about things like the trans movement, the big, gigantic, white, gay, LGBT movement, where they're having to pass laws talking about don't say gay. They've got such a big gay movement in America where you've got many white men that are massively invested in just being gay. They don't even care about having children. There's many men, white men, that are educated and they live in suburban settings and condos and in very rich white neighborhoods who they don't too much care for having children. You have feminist women with the thinking of I am not a mule to sit up and have a bunch of kids for a man. You have all of this, and then modernity, automation, which is going to make society need less people. They don't want to talk about this. They don't want to talk about their need for resources from other countries and the absolute decimation that they leave those countries in, leaving the people in those countries no choice but to migrate to the countries that their resources went to. They don't want to talk about that. It's easy to talk about a black woman in which the thing that they're pointing out here is that the way in which the story was initially reported is that the facts is that it goes against a narrative in reporting of police shooting unarmed black person. Clearly, you can see she has a gun. But the reason why I mentioned the whole part about her being arrested and played that video is because it looks and appears that she was on the ground when she was shot. And then it also looks and appears, now, you could very well say that a person with a gun, with the shootings that we've had, you can make arguments. Okay, was this a fanatically crazy woman who was potentially going to go shoot more people? Might she turn around and harm the cops? So that argument does exist. But the key thing I'm trying to look at is, did she throw the gun down? Did she put her hands up? Because from what I've seen and read, people are sounding as if she had her hands up. Hold on. Let me go back and read this real quick little piece. I ain't even got to speculate. I can read a piece from a witness. Hold on. Okay. It says at Newsweek, on the article printed, I'm going to read it. Leonna Hale, 26, had her hands up the moment before officers shot her in the parking lot of Family Dollar store on Friday night. A woman identified only as Shadanja told the Kansas City Star. Shadanja said Haley was attempting to run away from the officers when they shot her 5 times. The Missouri State Highway Patrol said the shooting occurred as officers with the Kansas City Police Department attempted to arrest the occupants of a car in connection with a reported armed carjacking. The officers had spotted a vehicle matching the description of a stolen vehicle at the Family Dollar at Prospect and East 6th Avenue shortly before 6 p.m. on Friday, MSHP said on Twitter. As officers attempted to make contact with the vehicle's occupant, a man exited the vehicle, fled on foot, and was apprehended, the police said. He was not identified. The Highway Patrol said Haley exited the vehicle and fled into the store's parking lot. 2 officers fired shots, the police added. A suspected handgun was recovered from the scene. Haley was seriously injured and her condition is stable. No other injuries. Shadanja, who had gone to the store with her 3 children, described a scene where officers opened fire on a woman who allegedly posed no threat. She told the Star that when she arrived at the store, she heard officers yelling, "Get out of the car," to two people in a vehicle next to hers. A man got out, jumped a fence, and fled, she said, and 3 officers ran after him. Haley got out of the vehicle with her hands up, Shajanja said. When officers told her to get on the ground, she told them she was pregnant and couldn't, Shajanja said. Officers repeatedly asked Haley to get down, she said, and at one point, Haley told officers there was a gun in the vehicle. Haley then started backing toward a fence, and several officers approached her with their guns drawn, Shajanja said. She did not pull out a weapon on them, she said. She did not even have a stick in her hand. According to Shajanja, Haley had taken just 3 steps to run away from the officers when they fired 5 times. I remember it because it didn't stop. They shot 5 times, Shajanja said. Newsweek has reached out to her for further comment. In a video she captured following the shooting, Haley is seen on the ground with blood on her shirt as other officers arrive on the scene and one appears to handcuff her. The witness account of the shooting has prompted outrage on social media. She had her hands up and told police she could not follow their directions to get on her stomach because she was pregnant. There is no reforming this, tweeted activist Leslie Mack. Okay, so those are the details. Okay, the picture of her in the thumbnail that I'm using with the gun, I don't know where this comes from. I don't know if Shajanja seen all of this. Was this when Haley got out of the vehicle? Was this? I don't know. According to the police, they asked her to exit the vehicle. She tried to run, and 2 officers shot her. One guy got out of the car, and 3 officers ran after him. According to Haley, the officers demanded that she get out the vehicle, and then they were yelling. The girl, Leonna, told them that she was pregnant and that there was a gun in the vehicle, and they shot her. There's a whole bunch of confusion in which things are going to have to straighten themselves out. Where the picture of her with the gun comes from, etc., etc. But here's the deal. What white people will do, white supremacists will do, and deny anything white people do wrong, social justification complex, for lack of better words. What they'll do is make an issue. The big thing that they'll do is say that the picture that you can simply grab off the internet doesn't match a consistent narrative. And they will yank the story and twist it and manipulate it. I just read it from witness account and police account, straight and pure, no bias. But what they'll do is use stories like this because they're much more willing to talk about it because it gives them a basis of conversation. They're not going to talk about Peyton Gendron. They're not going to talk about the deeper connections. They're not going to talk about how his viewpoints are common viewpoints of conservatives. You get what I'm saying? They'll use this, which is basically a video against a thumbnail. It's a video against a picture, or it's an argument against a picture that doesn't line up with a media narrative. This is what they're doing, and this is how they're going to construct it. But just look at the fact that they're willing to talk so long about it, and look at how, same thing with the shooting in Texas. Look at the length at which they're willing to alter the conversation. They can talk about gun rights, mental illness, and then the reason why I think possibly it was a false flag look at the ambiguity of the shooter, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like the perfect situation to happen that would completely bury out, destroy, and annihilate a previous situation that happened literally a week or so prior to it. It's almost too perfect. It's almost too politically perfect. But anyways, I just wanted to hit on that real quick and read that little piece about what went down. I still think more details need to come out, but needless to say, Shanaja, whatever her name is, she better watch herself. If I was her, I'd get out of town. She better get underneath the protection of the NOI because they might Josh Brown her. You remember Josh Brown in the case where Amber, I think that police officer in Texas shot the man, John, I forgot his name, John Baptista. I don't know, that guy who was eating ice cream. And remember the guy who testified against the cops, Mike Brown, Josh Brown, I forgot his name. He was married to the French girl. He was dating the French girl. Remember him, the little light-skinned mixed dude? He ended up getting killed. And, I don't think he just got killed by accident. I don't think that the goons all of a sudden just suddenly found him. I think that was straight up DPD. Straight up and down. And a witness with as many. Now, the girl didn't die here. I don't think the girl died. So that's going to water the situation down. It's going to make it disappear a lot quicker. It's going to be buried. But the specifics of this are really the condemnation here, or the angle of condemnation, is how stone cold sociopathic killers who represent the viewpoints of common white conservatives can go into everywhere from a supermarket to a church and murder black people. And see, the message behind that is that those two areas of innocence pretty much represent everything. Because if you can be killed there, you can be fired upon everywhere. So it's an attempt to strike at black people. It's almost like a big giant social pulling of a whip back and just a lashing toward black people, like this big intimidating aggressive strike of hatred toward black people, a big giant social conscious we hate you inwards, and then we're going to protect those who go forward and commit violence against you and bury the things that they do, systematically bury them, and then angle every argument that we make against you in a way that we can deny facts, deny the whole story, deny things that are really relevant factors to situations and incidents that occurred, and angle and twist and manipulate everything to just deny the mere fact that a potentially pregnant female was just shot 5 times, and a sociopathic white racist trained by the collective consciousness of white societies are literally protected, taken to Burger King, put in vest, and the families of the people down there in South Carolina were told by a judge during the Dylann Roof trial that Dylann Roof's family were just as big of a bunch of victims as the people down there in the church that he killed. I kid you not. Even Don Lemon was outraged upon listening to that. But anyways, I'm going to just leave it at that. And hey, learn how to go back and forth with these folks the right way, because trust me, they don't really do it with me. They don't do it with me at all. They much more find black people who will give them, some type of just plain and simple emotion and not really a thorough, logical, meticulous breakdown. I'm out.